Are you tired of constantly seeing DSA on every single defense? Do you want to be able to face DSA and tank her S3 like a real G?
Unfazed!
Or maybe, do you want to erase Demiurge and Mene and cleanse this world from these cockroaches? Well, I got you, because in this video, I'm about to drop some real salt and tell you why Demiurge Drakhan is arguably the most future-proof Demiurge unit and why she's already busted right out the gate, regardless if 6-star or not. I'm gonna tell you the best sets to run on Demiurge Drakhan, so you can consistently take turns in a timely fashion, even without her 6-star priority push, so make sure you keep watching. But as with all my videos, I'm not gonna spoon feed you everything. I want you to go out there and test it out yourself and come to your own conclusions with builds and whatnot. I'm only here to point you in the right direction and direct your attention to the things that matters most, instead of getting upset over the things you can't control. Sounds like a deal? Good. Now like the video, subscribe, and smack that noti bell to tell me you're ready to learn. So Demiurge Drakhan, the third Demi unit introduced to us and the first defender in the Demiurge family. And as such, she brings a unit kit that literally revives the Bruiser playstyle. So let's dissect her. Demiurge Drakhan is the first strictly HP scaling Bruiser in this game, and this is reflected in her skill descriptions, reminding you that her damage will not scale with attack. Her S1 and S3 are her damage skills, with her S1 doing 2% of the target's max HP as fixed HP, and her S3 damage scaling off her max HP and lost HP. What makes her unique is the fact that she is the Pioneer Extinction unit. With that ability alone, she already warrants one copy to be had in your account. Now, we have to talk about her S2. Her S2 grants a shield to everybody and a unique buff to your teammates which would absorb 50% of the damage that will be dealt to her. I don't think people quite understand how powerful this skill is, especially if you place her in the right team comp. See, I come from a competitive trading card game background like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Super Card Game and One Piece TCG, and we have strategies we coin as Protect the Queen. This skill reminds me of the strategy we used where she forces your allies to protect her so that she can solo the entire team in the endgame. Oh, and it grants you an extra turn which helps you turn cycle your S3 quicker, by the way. What people don't get is that Demiurge Drakhan is not a full-fledged DPS, so let me debunk that real quick cause, you know, I'm the only real G around here who actually knows what the fuck I'm talking about. For starters, Demiurge Drakhan is a defender class and a sweeper subclass. If we look at her stat distributions, we can see that she has very high HP and defense. Also, need I remind you that her skills literally mentions her damage proportional to HP instead of attack? Fine, let's dumb it down even more. If you read the subclass descriptions, it literally says a combat specialist that waits patiently for an opening. I don't know about you, but that doesn't read like she is meant to do absurd amount of damage right off the bat, but rather to tangle with your opponent and wait for them to slip before you crush them. Then we look at the weapons and necklaces available for a defender. None. I repeat, none of these weapons and necklaces are damage boosters. Every single piece are utility based, be it making yourself tankier, helping you cheat priority, cleansing debuffs off you, counter-attacking, or absorbing damage dealt to your team. This should be your second indicator that Demiurge Drakhan is not meant to be a full-fledged DPS. The weapons and necklaces doesn't support it, but if she isn't meant to be built full damage, how do I build her then? Well, I'm glad you asked. Side note, if you want to stay up to date and collect these sick infographics I create for units, follow me on Twitter at sterby92. That's where I post my thoughts and ideas about how to play a certain unit or just general strategies and infographics throughout the week. And if you want to be around some of the best players in the game, especially in PvP, join my Discord server link in the descriptions down below and start chatting with us, or just watch us drop gems that you might find useful to you. There is a famous saying that states you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around, so if you want to get good, join my Discord server. Okay, let's get back to the video. Now that we know that the defender weapons and necklaces are utility based, essentially aiding in trying to keep you and your team alive, or keeping you alive long enough to consistently disrupt your opponent, the longer Demiurge Drakhan stays alive, the worse it is for your opponent. With that in mind, Force Field Generator is going to be the ideal choice of weapon since it puts a barrier up on Demiurge Drakhan whenever she attacks, and since counter-attacking counts, that means her necklace should be on Coward's Treasure with a whopping 30% chance to counter-attack whenever Demiurge Drakhan and her allies get smacked. If you want damage, this is where you get it. Either have her on a crit damage main or a penetration main stat. I prefer having her on penetration main stat to deal with pesky high defense units like that Insomniac Nun who's played Arena long enough. For her gear, I'ma let you in on the secret sauce. Swiftness set is arguably the best set on Demiurge Drakhan. If you were curious, the multiplier on Swiftness set is 100% of your lost HP. So as the game goes on, the faster your Demiurge Drakhan gets, and she'll be zooming past the priority bar in no time. So while her 6-star Transcend does help her with her turn economy, running her on Swiftness set makes up for the speed she lacks, and you can take turns in a timely fashion. But of course, Immunity set is non-negotiable. You have to protect yourself from the irregular hunter with a massive rocket launcher who will increase your skill cooldowns, or that cheeky bitch who thinks she lives in a wonderland because unbuffable is an incredibly annoying debuff. Cool, now that we have that sorted, what about how to fully utilize her and pair her up in a team? Well, the most straightforward way to use Demiurge Drakhan is to put her in your team whenever you're up against a Demi-Estei, which is everywhere by the way. Nothing is more satisfying than seeing you send Dusty to the Shadow Realm forever. But that's a no-brainer, and you're not here for that. So let's talk about some more advanced strategies on how to play her pre-6-star.
Yeah, boy.
A lot of people think you need 6-star to actually play her, and that is far from the truth. If we logically think about this, the average player who isn't fully Unga Bunga cleaving is speed tuning the team within the 130 to 200 speed range, depending on the unit's class of course. So technically speaking, as long as you're playing within that speed range as well, you shouldn't be having issues taking turns in a timely fashion, especially if you listen to me and gear her on Swiftness set. Then the real question here is this: do we need to tune Demiurge Drakhan to outspeed Demi-Estei to make her work? Answer is no. Why? Because this is where team building comes into play. For example, you could easily run Leo to protect yourself from the first Demi-Estei nuke and then counter cleave her on the backswing. You could also run a fast Saren to push Demiurge Drakhan to the front line and erase Demi-Estei from existence while keeping your team healthy with Saren's insane healing abilities with the S2. If you're a G and got Demiurge Drakhan to 6-star, then you have to pay much closer attention to your speed tuning of your other units. At 6-star, the idea is to juggle your teammates' crit and turn order to get the most value in terms of turn economy. So I'll give you a couple of example pairs to think about, but ultimately, you have to see what your account allows you to do. Valentine and Demiurge Drakhan, Tamara and Demiurge Drakhan, Stella and Demiurge Drakhan, Alice and Demiurge Drakhan, Epsilon and Demiurge Drakhan.
See where I'm going with it?
What these units have in common is the fact that they are able to either take their turn before Demiurge Drakhan, or cheat the system by interacting with debuffs and AoE and critting your opponent so that Demiurge Drakhan can shoot to the front lines and do her thing. Now look, I personally enjoy playing slow and steady because it is the most stable way to play the game, unlike the cleave playstyle which is highly volatile and unpredictable. And so, Demiurge Drakhan fits perfectly into this style simply because of how much sustainability she provides to the team while being an absolute nuisance either through her extinction ability or the fact that she also heals your team upon a successful S3 kill and provides a really fucking thick ass barrier. After all, she's a Demiurge, and a really hot one at that too.